You're watching Lansdowne Raw, the voice of the fans. I'm Martin Prendergast, joined by Conor McAvoy as we catch up on the latest news in Irish football. Another live show with you, the Raw faithful. We want to hear from you this evening. And it's Lansdowne Raw, and it's live. Welcome to another Lansdowne Raw. I'm Martin Prendergast, Conor McAvoy with me, the rep tracker himself, here live and in person, catching up with all the latest news in Irish football. If you're new to the show, please make sure you do subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, watching us along on YouTube, especially as we're trying to grow the channel. And if you do want to support us a little bit more, we also have Lansdowne Raw Plus, where for $4.99 a month, you can join us there for extra content. We've got Raw Retro there. We've got Team of the Week kind of stuff. Lots of controversial takes within State of Play, which is our take on all things football. And there's lots of other ways to obviously support us as well. You can support us by buying us a coffee. You can also buy some of our merchandise that we've got available, which are some fantastic beer mats that we've had designed. Heimer, Coleman, Parrott and Collins, tributes to the lads who are going to qualify us for the World Cup. We've also got a fantastic sticker collection as well. So that's how you can support our little show a little bit more. Connor, I think the intro's okay. How are you? Did you enjoy watching Man United win 1-0 tonight against Everton? Seamus Coleman was on the bench. There's a little bit of a spoiler for you ahead of Ogbene later. But how are you, Connor? You well?
Yeah, I'm alive. I was absolutely gutted when I seen Mark Travers was not even in the squad after all the hard graft he's put in this season of warming the bench at Everton. But anyway, no, it was an interesting game to say the least. That wasn't it. It was a terrible watch, to be honest, which was one of the worst games I watched all season. And then, but at least there was a bit of drama in Tala tonight, anyway, between Rovers and Dundalk. Benny Leonard getting sent off for Dundalk whilst already being 1-0 down, and then going on to turn it around and win, or sorry, not win, but get a 1-1 draw away at the champions as the newly promoted side, which is an unbelievable result for Dundalk, and 1-0. And like, they had a good result last week in the derby. I know they ended up draw to score late to equalise, but yeah, it was Dundalk going well. It's good to see from that aspect. Obviously, it shows that everyone thought Shamrock Rovers were just going to get into a groove to start the season after a very good win against Pats on Friday, but it shows it's not that simple in the League of Ireland. But yeah, in that game at the Hill Dickinson, jeez, that was a tough watch, to be honest with you, wasn't it, Martin? Jesus, I haven't watched.
Yeah, it was.
It was so bad. Like,
I kind of enjoyed it though, because it was just intriguing. Because I thought it was just going to be like another one. It was going to be a 1-0 game, whichever way, whoever got the goal and stuff. Fantastic goal, of course. But the set pieces, all the stuff around that. Again, it just had me thinking a little bit with like Ireland's prominence from set pieces in the past, where we were really reliant on those. And will that be a tactic? Obviously, we look to adapt going forward. Obviously, for the big game coming up on the 26th of March, we're going to have it covered here completely on Lansdowne Raw. We're going to have a preview shows, squad prediction shows, but more importantly, we're going to be there in Prague. Can't wait for it. Tickets allocations from the FAI have been confirmed this week. So sorry if you have been disappointed and weren't successful, but I don't want to gloat too much, Connor, because I'll be there. You'll be there as well, obviously, with Dave as well in the press box. But yeah, looking forward to that. It's going to be an absolutely brilliant trip. And do make sure you obviously keep that date firmly in your diary to be watching us before the show in our live pre-match show, where you'll get all the team news and everything. You can have your comments on as that comes through, and especially the aftermath as well, which for what we hope will be a historic night in Irish football as we qualify for the World Cup playoff final, which will happen hopefully on Tuesday the 31st of March in Dublin, and we'll be covering that game there as well, of course. So a bit quiet on the comments so far this evening, so get your comments in if you're one of the Raw faithful watching along. Lots and lots to cover. We've got Obig coming up as well, but we want to hear from you. Anyone who's impressed you over the weekend, anything you want to ask Rep Tracker about, any young player that you've seen or heard about, make sure you do ask the man in the know, Rep Tracker himself. Okay? And
it'd be good to know who anyone thinks. It's what like 3 weeks until
4 weeks, yeah. 4 weeks until the squad is going to announce, yeah.
And
yep,
on Thursday the 19th. So it'll be interesting who people think, actually, if there's any bold shouts to call up, because obviously I have a few that I think are doing quite well at the moment. But yeah, it'll be interesting of what people think.
So obviously we're going to start with We've got a few comments coming in, so thank you again for that. But yeah, keep them coming. We'll get to those at the end of the show. We're going to get through Obig as well. We catch up on how the lads got on over the weekend. But Connor, we've said it here as our little our cover kind of for tonight's show, the kind of theme that we've said. We'll just throw up again. Ogbene's Sheffield United nightmare, Parrott the form striker in Europe, and obviously the latest news. So Ogbene, what's happening with one of my favourite Irish players? There he is. He's on loan at Sheffield United, of course, as we know, but looking really happy as usual. But explain to me, please, and the Raw faithful, why he's not in the matchday squad at the moment for Sheffield United, who relegated Sheffield Wednesday the other day, which was nice for them.
Disaster. But yeah, it's an absolute disaster situation for Chidozie at the moment. We all know how well he's been for Ireland over the last couple of years. Been one of our best players, if probably our best player in recent years over the course of consistency. What he's offered, big games, he's always performed. Even against the weaker nations, he's always performed. And obviously, he tore his Achilles last season. Was it Achilles or ACL? I can't even remember. But he was out for the season in the Premier League. And I came back this year, had to go out to Sheffield United. Started quite well at them. And then it all turned in Hungary. He won the penalty. Second half, he was almost clean through in goal. And he done his hamstring. And the poor fella has been out for, 2 months after that. Returned in January. Looked like he was going to get sent back to Ipswich because Wilder didn't want him. But he said how great his attitude is, how much he wanted to fight for his place at Sheffield United. So he kept him. And he the sort of attitude he wanted around the place. But then it got even worse now. As Sheffield United decided to sign more loan players in January. They must have maybe 6, 7 in total. And the last couple of weeks, Chidozie actually on his first game back, Martin, he scored, didn't he? He scored on his first game back in the first couple of minutes. Hasn't played a minute since. The last 2 game days, he hasn't been on in the bench at least. He can't even make the bench anymore because of the rule they have in EFL. You're only allowed 5 players on the bench in the EFL that have been on loan. Sorry, in the matchday squad that have been on loan. And Chidozie is now sitting in the stands watching these matches, which is an absolute disaster. But the only positive we have out of that, Martin, is that Calvin Phillips got a red card against Sheffield Wednesday, which is an absolute ridiculous tackle, which now has led to him getting a 3-match ban, which means Chidozie should probably come back into the squad next week, which is hope. There's midweek actually action in the championship, so I'd imagine he'll come back in midweek. And then we'll see him hopefully get minutes. But I don't even know if he will, because Andrea Brooks, who plays right wing for the moment, has been probably their best player, if not maybe top 3 players in recent weeks. So he's a battle in his hand, never mind getting into the matchday squad. But if he's in the squad, even getting any minutes. So it's not been a good loan, to be honest, especially since he got that injury. It's really, really unfortunate, because we all know how good he is a player. He is so key to Ireland. We look ahead to March and we play with a front 2, usually, with himself and Ferguson, or himself and Parrott. I know we kind of play as that 3-4-2-1 with kind of 2 10s behind the striker, but it always looks like Azaz kind of naturally drifts more to the left and Ogbene goes to the right when we're in possession. But when we are out of possession, we're in kind of a 4-4-2 shape with Ogbene alongside you. It'll be Parrott. Like, we know it'll be Parrott if he's fit in March and ready to go. And like, the question I have for you, if Ogbene doesn't play between now and March, does he still start that Czechia game because of how key he is to the way we play?
Yeah, for me, he does. Yeah, without a doubt. I was just thinking actually in my head there when I was listening along to you there. You know, some of our players are in the fortunate position where they've kind of earned their place already in the Ireland squad for me. And it's I've often argued on here saying we need players now to be playing regularly and stuff like that, and really get into a kind of rhythm and get into form, build up that fitness base. I think Evan Ferguson, we've heard as well, speculation with him obviously returned to be assessed by Brighton's medical staff, but he's earned and probably a player we need. So he's in there, isn't he? Chidozie's one like that for me as well. I think if he's showing it in training, I think you're there anyway. You're in the squad. But whether you start or not, I think obviously Evans fallen down the starting pecking order, and this injury is a bit of a worry for me now. Reading more into it, but Chidozie, I think, is so important to us. It was a really unfortunate injury he had the time before, and he missed a lot of football. But yeah, look, he comes in there for what he offers and what he does. I think he's quite consistent. he does have this amazing knack of scoring key goals for us as well. So, yeah, for me, wouldn't be a doubt coming in there. And I think
Are you
a
sure
little
you
bit
don't
like,
mean Alan Brown?
yeah,
Dave's famous line, all the key goals he scored for us.
yeah. But no, Chadosi's record's brilliant, and as well, I think like a little bit maybe like Robbie Brady-ish as well. He comes in for me into the squad without a doubt if he's available, even
But I
though
have a
he's been
question for
in
you,
for a
Martin.
while. Yeah.
It could get to March, and 4 players we consider key starters may not be playing regularly club level.
Mm,
Ogbene, Seamus Coleman, Nathan Collins, and Ryan Manning. That's 4 players that are
yeah.
playing that are key players. Because the reality is, with our left wing back situation, if Brady's fit, he'll probably be in the squad. Whether he start, I don't know what this is, but Manning will definitely be in the squad because of how good he's been for us in the World Cup qualifiers. He was probably a surprise package, I would probably say, about
He was
how much
definitely,
he
yeah.
kicked on for us. He got his chance and he took it. But like Brady's not even been on the bench in recent weeks. I know the left back they have, who's number 1, I can't think of his name, got injured at the weekend. And Jamal Lewis, who obviously plays for the North, came on off the bench. That's 2 fullbacks that are senior fullbacks that are there, probably over him at the moment. So it's not great position he's in. But even if Brady gets back in and he comes into the March squad, like, well, it could be left back, right back, or captain, and kind of 2 captains, and then Ogbene. That could be 4 players starting that aren't playing regularly at club level. So I don't know.
Mm.
What do you think of that?
It is a worry because we'd rather they are playing, but I think, like I said, they've earned their kind of position with Ireland anyway, and we're not. I don't think they're really under threat of anyone else coming in replacing them. But just because of others aren't taking their opportunities, there's not that banging on the door saying, "Well, I'm playing really, really, really well." Like Casey McAteer, for example, is not tearing it up. Vesti's not tearing it up. Who may be like in direct competition with Ogbene. So that's the kind of fortunate thing, I think, and it would be a real more valid question in a way that you'd have to give a good think about it if that was happening. But I think some of these are, Evan, if he's fit, Collins is there anyway, isn't he? He definitely starts.
He's a
You
captain,
look,
like so.
he's our captain now, isn't he? And also with the players who are not eligible for the first game, of course, as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
Mm.
interesting, though.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of on Heimer watch as well. Which game was he at? Was he at a match tonight, or was it over the
Yeah,
weekend?
He was in Tala. He was in
Yeah,
Tala
he was in
tonight.
Tally. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, trying to kind of see what
But do you think?
the lads are focused on as well.
Yeah, I think the only reason Ogbene might, if he doesn't start, might be if Ferguson's fit and he gets it between now and March, which we don't think it will happen, but he becomes a starter at Roma again and he decides, oh, I'll change up the way I'm playing with this front 2 and go with Ferguson and Parrott. He sees a way of attacking these lads in a different shape of mind. And maybe, I don't know if I said about Sinclair Armstrong, but he won't come in and start on his. I know
Mm.
he's made his debut, but it was quite long ago, it was about 2 years ago at this stage. So yeah, I I wonder what way he's going to look at this now, because like we're going to automatically have to make one change in midfield with Josh Cullen.
Mm.
I hope, to be honest, I hope Coleman doesn't play again for Everton between now and March. I know he was on the bench tonight. Mark Travers wasn't involved. Oh, as I said earlier, I don't know how he's got injured. Must have got injured in training, or he's unwell or something. But I did see him sitting beside Jake O'Brien behind the bench, so he must just have a knock or something. But we don't know what that is. But yeah, I hope Coleman doesn't play. Ogbene, I want him to play and get some rhythm in the legs, because
Yeah.
you just Ogbene is a bit unpredictable at times as a player, whilst Coleman, you always kind of know what you're going to get. I trust Collins still to come in after not playing, because I know he's had his bad moments in an Ireland shirt, but he's still an elite level centre half who, I know we'll get to his mistake during Obig, but in general he's a top drawer centre half in the Premier League. So yeah, I don't know. It's an uncomfortable probably situation, you would say, for the manager.
Yeah, I think it is, but I think he'll go with. I'm not expecting lots and lots of changes for the squad in March. I think he's going to go tried and tested. I think the Nations League, perfect opportunity after the World Cup, unless there's a massive injury, and then that may open the door, as it did in 2002. Stephen Reid, coming in there, but it's it is a kind of conundrum for the management, and obviously I think they will look, and what the medical staff are key to this as well. They analyze the stats, don't they? They look at the numbers. They'll look at, for example, Seamus Coleman's, that's been quoted before, isn't it? His numbers are good. So they're looking at training. Yes, you're not playing, but you know what you're
Yeah.
getting. It's a little bit different. I do agree with you there with Ogbene, because you want a forward, an attacker, a creator. You want them to be absolutely, um, confident, goals, assists behind them, that kind of stats really built up there, rather than coming in and then maybe lacking confidence, not taking someone on because they might be feeling a bit of a niggle or whatever it is. So um, it's just, yeah, it's something that is a little bit of a concern. But, we're talking about the squad speculation, of course. Want to talk about this lad who's absolutely firing at the moment, Melenik Ali. Picture of him there. Another goal over the weekend, Connor. You think he may be a little bit of a shout here as a surprise package?
Yeah. I spoke about. I don't think he will be in the squad, but I think Millie Ali could be the surprise package from an Irish point of view over the next month or so. I think we all know how well he done last season at Luton. I thought he ended the season absolutely brilliant. He was probably the one of the foreign players in the Championship. Luton looked all dead and buried, and he came in from Exeter City last January. He went from National League to Championship in the space of a year, which was crazy to see. And then the goals he scored towards the end of the season was some of them were absolutely top drawer. I remember on the last of the season, they lost to West Brom, which led them going down, but he scored two worldies that day. And then he went back, he stayed with Luton in League One for the first half of the season. A couple of managerial changes. Jack Wilshere didn't seem to fancy him, which is crazy to think. And now he's gone to Portsmouth and he's absolutely flying. He scored against West Brom, actually, who he seems to like scoring against. To get his first goal for the club. He got an assist at the weekend. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. On the left hand side, the big thing about him, he's absolutely lightning. He's rapid, one on one. He's exceptional. He's an extremely hard worker off the ball. He'd remind you a bit of like Ogbene, but on the other flank. But we all know they're both right footed, but kind of like EX coming in, and he can take a fella on the outside as well. And the way I just look at it is, if I think international football, I think him or Helgumson would much rather a winger like Melenik Ali playing on the left hand side than Mikey Johnston. I think that's the way it is. Mikey Johnston, yes, technically is a better player and he might create more, but I think the way Millie Ali plays with his pace, his power, his work rate, you can give him the ball on the halfway line and you can trust him to knock it past someone and carry you up the pitch. Someone will foul him, take him down, pull him down. Someone like Sufal playing with Czechia, obviously very experienced fullback that's had a lot of good moments in the Premier League at West Ham, but he's getting on. And someone like that, I think Millie Ali is that sort of winger that could cause a lot of damage. Do I think he'll be in the squad? No, but do I think he could be a surprise option, especially even the way we play that front two? Play that sort of lad off Parrott. Even though I don't think that would be his best position. I know we kind of play Azaz as at left number 10, and then without the ball he goes to left midfield in a 4-4-2. But I think the way Millie Ali's playing at the moment, I think he's doing himself no harm at all. And I do think when I look at our wingers, Festi, I seen he's back training with Istanbul. He posted his Instagram story, but wasn't in the match day squad the other day. Ogbene is in no man's land at the moment at Sheffield United. Mikey Johnson, since Eric Ramsey's come in as manager, has been in and out of the team through no fault of his own. He's playing wing backs, it's ridiculous. And I'm trying to think who else. Casey McAteer hasn't really been playing at Ipswich. Rocco Vata, who's a left-sided option, is injured. So we are bare thread, and even in terms of just form wise, and he's probably the form winger we've got at the moment. He got the assist the weekend. He was excellent. Even the assist was a top drawer. If no one's seen it, you need to go back and watch it. I think it epitomizes the type of player he is. And I was actually quite disappointed, Martin, last June when he wasn't involved in that camp for the Luxembourg and Senegal friendly. Even though we spoke about, like, I know you like to say about Boston, but I can understand why he wasn't picked or he wasn't involved initially, because he wasn't fit and he wasn't playing for Stoke. But Millie Ali was absolutely flying at Luton, and I know he had the thing where if you finish the season in the Championship when the regular season ended, you aren't being considered. But I think a lad like that who keeps himself flying fit, always looks ready. You know by his attitude, the way he's rose up the ranks in England, that he's a surprise package anyway to get to the level he's at right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if he goes on and plays for Ireland. I think he will go on and make his debut for Ireland at some stage this year, because I think he will get a good move in the summer, whether it's Portsmouth or someone else in the Championship, because I think he's shown he's more than good enough to play at Championship level. But I think he could be a surprise option. I don't think he will, but if you came back to me, is the 23rd of March, obviously, or February now. If you came back to me on the 10th of March and he's still in this form and he scores another goal, picks up another assist, I think he could really, really, really become an option, because he has the talent, he has the ability. He's the type of player I think would suit international football, but I think we just have to probably wait and see, Martin.
Yep, that's very interesting. That, to be honest, like again, I was just in my head there thinking, in a way, where did Vesti come from? In a sense, like some of these wingers, they just do get given a chance, don't they? And
Yeah.
it could easily happen from Nelly Ali, without a doubt.
I think Ogbene is the best example of that, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, he is. Yeah,
No, yeah,
yeah,
he was at
without a doubt. Yeah,
Rotherham and no one really knew who he was like.
yeah. But and that's why it's important. Again, I probably give too much stock on lads who are in the squad. Yeah, but they know what's expected. They've worked on the game plan, worked on tactics and stuff. But they're professional footballers ultimately, and they can move clubs and in a transfer window and straight away go in and be part of that and understand it straight away. And time will be spent with them, of course. So yeah, really, really good. I mean, think Connor, you're a little bit unfair there. You have forgotten an Ireland left winger who has now seen himself as a centre midfielder, and you're quite scathing about his decision to move into centre midfield on a recent show, if I recall, on the League of Ireland
He
show.
told us he's
But,
retired from international football. He told us he's told us he specifically
okay,
told us when Hamer was asked about him, he is retired.
okay, all right, right. And another player who's done very, very well, friend of the show, is Aaron Cashin. Man of the match the other day, player of the match. There he is in his Blackburn shirt. Fantastic to see him getting man of the match. He did play very well the other night, didn't he? So, a really good performance by
Yeah,
him. So he's another one who will be pushing for the Ireland squad, of
yeah.
course, and that's a
Would
big shout out to Dave,
would
there,
we,
who we
yeah.
know really rates him.
We should have edited a picture of David beside him to celebrate.
Presenting it, yeah,
But, I love do you know what? I love what Blackburn are doing with, Cashin at the moment, because a report came out in, like, the Brighton press maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, saying that they were advised to not to sign him despite all the data. All the data kind of pointed towards that he was this future top centre half with excellent ability, and why they've probably been interested in him in so many years. And someone was saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have signed him." And now they're saying, back in hindsight, they should have listened to whoever told them that, which is complete lies. If the data backs it up, and they obviously had scouts out watching him, like, to see what he was like. But yeah, it's brilliant to see Aaron Cashin doing well, isn't it? Capped a lot at under 21 level for Ireland. Obviously, I spoke very highly of him when he was at Derby, how well he was doing. He impressed me so much then. And then obviously the Brighton move has been a disaster really so far. But in fairness, he got a big money move to Premiership. I'm sure his wages were at least doubled anyway. He had the loan to Birmingham, which was probably more of a learning experience than anything. And he's gone to Blackburn now. But excellent. Got their player of the month for January. Then got man the match the other night, playing centre half under Michael O'Neill, who's doing the craziest thing of all time, FIFA career mode style, managing a club and country at the same time.
yeah.
And but the good, it was Cashin. He got the interesting thing. He got player of the month basically playing left back the whole month. Then went back to left centre half and a back five, on Friday night, and got man of the match playing in probably his best position, in my opinion, is on the left of a back three. Got an assist for the winner late on, although it did take a bit of deflection, but he still can claim the assist, and doing really, really well. I do think eventually he will take Liam Scales' spot in that squad as that left footed centre half, because I think his ceiling is very high. We just haven't seen the best of it yet, because his ability on the ball, in my opinion, is second to none. The only thing he lacks, he's just a bit more. He's very old school when you watch him. He's real like old school, and he's quite small for a centre half. But
Mm.
I think his ability, his aggression, he's actually very good in the air for his size. So I think he will kick on massively even more between now and the end of the season. But another that I do think would probably not make any sort of Ireland inwards really until the Nations League.
Okay. Right. And one last one we're going to come on to now, just before we go on to Obig, we'll find out how the lads get on as well. Keep your comments coming in as well, but we have to give this man probably pride of place on our. It's happening every week now. This lad's just phenomenal, wasn't he? Troy Parrott scores again for AZ. A fantastic run of games at the moment, run of form. We need this continuing, obviously. But yeah, you just see the confidence in him. And Connor, what more can we say about Troy Parrott?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
29 goals for the season for club and country, 13 in the Eredivisie, 24 for AZ Alkmaar. In my opinion, the best striker outside the top five leagues in Europe at the moment. Arguably top five, probably in terms of pure form this season, I would say, because he's not just a goal scorer. And the crazy thing, he scored 29 goals for club and country. And you think he's just a goal scorer, but he does a lot more. His link up play, his hold up play, his ability to drop deep is absolutely exceptional. And the funny thing is, when you hear he says, "Oh, he scored 13 goals in Eredivisie," it feels quite low for Troy Parrott standards at this
Mm.
stage, isn't it? You feel like that's quite a small tally for his ability, but I think it shows how highly we think of him, how people think of him in global football. and I think how probably highly he thinks of himself, because the big thing about him is you just know that lad just backs himself. He believes himself as probably the form striker in Europe at the moment. I think Harry Keane and Erling Haaland, obviously they're a level above, but there's sort of levels he probably compares himself to, and believes he will get to. Because I remember there was a TikTok made, I think it was ESPN or someone, or 433 in the Netherlands, did a thing. It was like Troy Parrott or him, put Troy Parrott, and he was asked by Troy Parrott or Jamie Vardy and Troy Parrott or Ollie Watkins, and he was picking himself over them all. It just shows how highly he thought of himself. And
Yeah.
now, it was a year ago and people were laughing at him for it, and it's kind of the sort of thing as the memes, and who's laughing now, aren't they? So yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. I think there's no more words we can say about him. Although I do think he's totally outgrown that league and he's ready for a step up. And I've said it before, he has to go on and do bigger and better things, because he is a level above at that stage. Whether it's going to Germany, whether that's going to England, whether it's going to, people say about going to maybe Ajax or PSV, but I still don't think that's a big enough step up for him, to be honest with you. Although you'll probably be playing in the Champions League if you go to PSV in the summer. Like, the reality is, in the Champions League, until you get to the knockout stages, there's a lot of weak teams, particularly when you're playing this level now, when they've put the 32 teams in the, do you play 8 games, 10 games in the 4 player team from each pot and stuff. So
Mm.
there's a lot of weak teams that you do play, and I do think he has to go and make that next step. Probably would, how people say, Germany's ideal step. But if he goes to World Cup and scores goals in the World Cup in the summer and establishes himself at that level, I think a Premier League move is written all over it. Whether Troy thinks right now that's probably the right step or not, I just think the money that would be offered, the level of
Yeah.
clubs that will be looking at him, it's those one of those things where his agent will tell him, people around him will tell him, it's like, these sort of opportunities don't come off around too often. You tear your ACL next season, that could be your chance gone to become a Premier League player and go on to play at the highest level. But yeah, it's just so good to see, especially an Irish player doing this well at that sort of level, who we all know at just 23 years of age, or 24 now actually turned. Um, he's just levels are just going to get better and better, and he's not even near his peak yet.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that. I think he'd be sensible to wait for the World Cup if we get there, or even Ireland. We if we have a kind of, all right, if we don't get there, but he does well in those playoff games, his stock's going to be high anyway. Whatever he does in Europe still, and it will be a big move, I think. And but if he goes to the World Cup and he bangs in a couple of goals there, that changes people's lives at the World Cup. You're on that, obviously world stage. You think of like even European Championships in the world. I'm thinking of like Karol Poborski with the Czech Republic many years ago. Euro 96 had a fantastic tournament. Man United went and brought him. Jordi Cruyff, the same thing in 96. I'm showing my age now, of course. But, even back as far as the Scalacci in 1990, hadn't played really for Italy, I don't think, at all before he kicked the ball. So, got into the Italy squad, but was the World Cup top scorer. And it just changes your life completely, the world stage. So, he's done amazingly well. The form is brilliant. We've needed this. We've been calling for this from Troy to kind of step up, and he has delivered recently. I've said it on here before, Connor, that I saw him outside a Castle Knock hotel, and he hadn't got a minute of an international window once, and that was absolutely criminal. And fair play to him; he's really knuckled down, and he's proved a lot of people wrong. I think it's been absolutely brilliant. But I love as well, like you said about his confidence. I love the fact when he speaks now about that brilliant historic night in Hungary, which will go down in like folklore with Irish fans, of course. But he says that's just not it. I don't just want to be remembered for that. I want to be here for other moments, and my career won't be defined on that. So it's fantastic the way he's kind of talking about it. So absolutely brilliant, and we wish him the very best of
I
luck.
just
And
have
he's
a
got to stay
question for the
fit.
comments, Martin.
Yeah.
Just sorry to interrupt. What club do you want to see Troy Parrott go to next? What is your next club that you think? Is it obviously see Aaron Gubbins has ones in that he wants to see that he wants him to go to, but who else do you think would be a good move? We'll probably have someone saying the Shamrock Rovers would be ideal to go to, but go on ahead, Martin.
Right.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's a great question. Yeah, so let us know. Give us your thoughts. The Raw Faithful, most interactive Irish football podcast out there. Make sure
I
you
like the
have
video.
given the show a like, give us a follow as well on and subscribe to the channel. You get all the notifications of all the stuff we're doing, and we've got loads and loads of content coming your
Martin,
way.
we didn't
That's
shout out
cool.
our new social media page.
No, we didn't. Go on, go ahead.
We now are. Well, I know we've technically always been kind of on Instagram and Facebook and stuff through Dave's account and Rep Tracker, etc. But we've actually made a specific Lansdowne Roar account now that is for all our clips, all our podcast kind of highlights, and in relation to the podcast, because you can end up missing a lot of things. So if you're on Instagram, it's simple as the same as everything. Instagram and Facebook as well. Lansdowne Roar. Just if you're on it, I'm sure we'll get the link added to the description. But yeah, it would be nice if you followed over there. Because I'm sure you want to see even more of us come up on your feed because you're not sick of us already.
Yep, and make sure you do share all of those little clips as well. That does help us with these algorithms and all that other stuff. So yeah, make sure you are following us on all our social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter or X, Instagram. I think we've got TikTok on the go as well. So yeah, we want to hear from you, and yeah, you can interact with us obviously on there as well. So please do share the videos and everything. Give them a like, helps us an awful lot. Right, we're going to come on to Obig where we catch up with how the lads got on over the weekend, and we're going to start off as usual with the goalkeepers. Here we go. Okay, so the Ireland goalkeepers over the weekend. Caoimhín Kelleher, 90 minutes in a 2-0 loss versus Brighton for Brentford. Max O'Leary, 90 minutes in a 2-0 loss versus Coventry. Josh Keeley, 90 minutes in a 1-1 draw versus Burton. And Mark Travers, an unused sub this evening, not even in the squad, I don't think, for Everton. And Gavin Bazunu, sadly, still out injured. Connor, talk to me. Caoimhín, how's it going? Is he still in form? Do we need to be worried about anything?
Oh, we have to be so worried about him. He's so bad. He's useless. No, he's still the same old player. He's still that guy that always seems to perform no matter what. What a player, what a keeper. Made a couple of good saves the other day. Pity his centre halves didn't do much better for someone that goes, but yeah, he's top keeper. He's a different class. And even if he did make a mistake, Martin, I wouldn't care less because I know it doesn't affect him. But yeah, the other keepers is more interesting. Max O'Leary's had a disaster start really at West Brom. I know at the weekend he couldn't. Actually, he did get blamed. I was going to say he couldn't get. I'll be honest with you, he did get blamed by the punditry on Sky Sports for the first goal that Coventry scored. They were saying how he should have came out faster, even though I did think it was slightly harsh. The defence initially was quite bad, but it's not been a good start for him. He has made quite a few mistakes. Mark Travers, I know I put a new sub, but I had made that before the stream. I was presuming he wasn't in the squad, and then I realised just before the match he wasn't in the squad. But yeah, Bazunu, there's been no timeline as of yet when he's going to be back. And Josh Keeley's still doing very well. I know they conceded a late equaliser the other day against Burton, which is not a good result for them. They're slowly starting to put themselves away from the playoff race, which they should. But there's, in all honesty, they probably have the best squad in the championship. When they've the likes of Millie Ali and telling them they don't want him in the League One squad, and look what he's doing in the championship, is crazy to think. But yeah, I'd be interesting question for the comments now. If, for example, Mark Travers was to miss the March window, say the hamstring injury, and he was out for 6 weeks, would you rather Josh Keeley or Max O'Leary come in the squad? Because I think me and Martin know who we'd want to come in. But would you rather go for someone who has experience of being in the squad and has played once for Ireland, or someone who, in all fairness, his ceiling is a lot higher to O'Leary? No disrespect, but he'll hopefully go on and achieve bigger and better things. But obviously, he's a lot more inexperienced. It'd be a good question for people who did. I know it's technically going to be a third choice keeper in the squad, but be interesting. Would you go with the youth or would you go with the experience?
Okay, all right, put it out there to you. The Raw Faithful answer that question. Here we go with the defenders. Robbie Brady was not in the squad for Preston, although he is back in training. John Egan, 90 minutes in a 3-1 loss versus QPR for Hull. Seamus Coleman, an unused sub against Man United this evening for Everton. Nathan Collins, 46 minutes in a 2-0 loss versus Brighton for Brentford. Bit of a horror show there. Matt Doherty, an unused sub for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Joshua Honohan out injured at Lincoln at present. Jake O'Brien is out suspended for Everton, missed the game this evening. Andrew Omobamidele had 90 minutes in a 3-1 win versus Lyon for Strasbourg. Darrow Shea, 90 minutes in a 5-3 loss versus Wrexham for Ipswich Town. Liam Scales, 90 minutes in a 2-1 loss versus Hibs for Celtic. James Abankwa had 90 minutes in a 2-0 win versus Derby for Watford. And Jimmy Dunn, 90 minutes in a 3-1 win versus Hull for QPR. Callum O'Dowda was not in the squad for Ferencváros. In COD, we do not trust. Mark McGuinness, an unused sub for Sheffield United. Ryan Manning, 90 minutes in a 1-1 draw versus Charlton for Southampton. Aaron Cash had 90 minutes, an assist, and a man of the match performance against Preston North End. in a 1-0 win. And Selmo Garcia McNulty, 90 minutes in a 1-1 draw versus Utrecht for Zwolle. And Will Ferry had 90 minutes and an assist in a 1-1 draw versus Kilmarnock for Dundee. And Corian Darba was an unused sub for Lecce. And that is your defenders.
I made a mistake with no, I didn't, because I knew he played, but it was only
Dave made a
tonight.
mistake.
Yeah, Dave made a mistake, but it'd be something you're very happy about. Your mate Cod, he did return last week in the Conference League in their victory against or they lost to Ludogorets in Bulgaria, but he did return and came off the bench. He came off the bench tonight as well. He played 12 minutes.
Oh,
I think it was the Budapest derby. They won 3-1. He came on tonight, got 12 minutes. Are you happy to see your Cod back? I don't know, would you expect him to have any chance of getting in the March squad? I wouldn't really, to be honest with you. But what do you think?
No, I don't think so. The only thing that will help him is if anything significant happened and setback for Robbie Brady. I know Ryan Manning obviously is not in playing kind of regularly either at the moment, but I can't see it happening. Mikey Johnson, perhaps an injury to him, it could get him back in there a little bit, that left side. But no, I just can't see it happening now. I'm really worried about this injury. I'd like to kind of hear the bottom of it, really. I'd like to know, but I don't think we ever will find out with a player like him that, why is it that he's not playing week in, week out. I think he must just be managing an injury. Just looking back at and remembering like Cardiff, very frustrating with Ireland, really, wasn't he, O'Dowd? That he often had injuries, missed out as being the 24th man in the matchday squad, but he pulled out of a lot of squad with injuries as well. So I just think his body's let him down, and maybe, I don't know. It's a shame because I think he had huge potential at one stage, and I probably haven't seen the very best of him in an Ireland shirt. But he's had some good games as well. I won't ever knock that. But I think it's just probably drifting away from him now. What would you think on that, Connor? You reckon?
Yeah, definitely. I think his days is gone. You can never really play right because a lot of players we've seen come in now, we thought we're never going to get back in. But I think now that Manning is kind of established that main man on the left, Robbie Brady is back from injury. Kevin O'Toole has suddenly come onto the radar, who actually played last night. I think they lost or did they draw with LA Galaxy. And yeah, the MLS return the other. John Gallagher actually plays for Austin from Dundalk. Got an assist in their 2-2 draw. So yeah, I just don't see it, to be honest. Even Will Ferry, who's doing really, really well with Dundee United, got an assist at the weekend in their draw with Kilmarnock. Sure, he's on course for a good move in the summer as well. I know Vancouver were trying to sign him, but I think he'd probably be more looking for the championship with his ability and the chance to come play for Ireland. Even Joel Bagan at Cardiff's doing really well as well. So I just don't see it for O'Dowd unless he somehow can get a good month or two where he stays fully fit. Even though I do think he would get him see his place back in. As Nick said, Teo Daramola got an assist for Sheffield Wednesday and that lost to Sheffield United, but he does look like one of their best players. Obviously, he has to improve defensively to get that next level, but I think he's shown so far at Sheffield Wednesday that he's more than ready to play at the championship level, which is a good sign. Technically, he's very good, and going forward, he's a brilliant athlete, so he's a player I think will go and be our left back in the future. Just might take another maybe year or so to really establish himself. But yeah, other than that, more defensive news. Coleman, no minutes tonight, but he was back on the bench. Matt Doherty can't get a minute at the worst team on course to be probably the second worst team in Premier League history, which is not good. I don't see him getting back in March, to be honest with you. I just don't see where he fits. I think he'd rather go for someone like Jimmy Dunn as a backup than Matt Doherty at this moment in time. Mark McGuinness can't get back in at Sheffield. Sheffield United. Ryan Manning, is good to see him though. Very impressed in FA Cup last weekend, and then kept his place for the league this week. Other than that, James Abankwah is doing really, really well at Watford at the moment. He's having some exceptional performances as centre half and playing at left centre half, which is not his natural side. But probably a player going really under the radar this season because last year he was superb for them on loan from Udinese. He's been really good this season again, and looking back to his very, very best at the moment. It'll be interesting now what happens with him in the summer, whether he goes back to Udinese or gets a permanent move somewhere else or goes out on loan somewhere else. But because he's an exceptional defender. Omobamidele, you're the lad you love to give out about, and Dave said he retired by 25. Got back-to-back starts for the first time since he got injured in January. Played 90 minutes in that win against Lyon last night, which was great to see. And I suppose he done quite well by all accounts, which is good. Obviously, they always talk about how high his passing accuracy is, which is a good stat to be good on. And yeah, I think he's the ability to be our best defender, especially when you see the mistakes that Darragh O'Shea made the other day, that Nathan Collins made the other day. It's great to see Ogbene back and doing well, because he's a brilliant athlete, brilliant on the ball, and the only thing is just let him down is his body so far at this age. But yeah, what do you think of Ogbene being back? And are you worried about Nathan Collins' form at the moment, because he just hasn't been as good as what he was at the start of the season or last season? At the moment, he's not looked himself.
I think it's just a little blip with Nathan Collins. First of all, I think with Kelleher behind him, and he knows he can trust him and stuff. There's no hiding place in the Premier League. They've done
But
amazingly
what do you think
well.
of that
Brentford.
clearance?
It was
What was he
awful, yeah. But I
thinking?
mean, it's just he's got it wrong, hasn't he? And a football's game of mistakes, and a top level player shouldn't be making those mistakes. But he did. He's just got to get out of his head like Kelleher would. Um, and I think he should be. I liked actually Brentford's kind of post match reaction to their 2-0 loss, where you know Keith Andrews, his man management skills, I think, are second to none. Really, really good. Like he just said, we've been the bet for 45 minutes. Bar 45 minutes, we've been the best team over the last 12, well, whatever it is, 12 games in the Premier League, which is, unbelievable, really.
But would you not
And
worry that Collins came out for a number of those games, especially against the bigger teams,
not,
Villa, Arsenal,
yeah,
Newcastle?
but not really. That, yeah, but like some of them games, he did miss with injury, didn't he? From that, he sustained
Yeah, but that's what I
injury.
mean. That's what I mean. This
Yeah,
fact that they'd done so well when he was out.
yeah, not really. No, because I just think he's a natural leader. I think I did have reservations about him being our captain, because I think it put a lot of pressure on him in a sense, because you're stepping into kind of the shoes of Seamus Coleman, and Seamus Coleman came back in there and stuff. I think actually Seamus is such a great leader that he would have managed that situation really well. But I think he did put himself under a lot of pressure and felt he had to be out there and leading a certain way. I'll never forget the apology, which he was ridiculous at Wembley. Circumstances obviously made that more of a drubbing than it would ever have been. I don't think if we'd had 11 on the pitch, but Armenia was shocking, and he was on the pitch there. So we've got to stop that nonsense. He's got to just go back to basics, I think. And for this game as well, my worry on the 26th is how Heimer's going to set up. I know we'll be covering this in a lot more depth from what we believe is going to happen, or what we predict is going to happen going forward, especially with obviously the squad being announced on the 19th of March. But we've got to go back to basics there. I think he's one of our best defenders, and without
Yeah, the
doubt,
thing is,
key player.
he is our best
Yeah,
defender.
but I think
Also, yeah.
he's just got to find his form again. I think, and I think they will with Kelleher behind him, and Brentford will
Do you
do
think,
well again.
this question, I often contemplate this, do you think form is overrated when it comes into international football? Because I think Seamus Coleman's a perfect example. I know because I know he's a special breed of a player. But do you think form is slightly overrated in the sense of that a player can kind of, when they're playing for their country with the heightened pressure, heightened adrenaline rush, even Mike Malumbi is one that's kind of like that. He can go through a really bad patch at club level, or like an inconsistent patch, puts on an Ireland shirt, and it just puts him 10 feet tall. James McLean was another
Yeah,
bit like that. Certain lads, like, they used to put on an Ireland shirt, and Sheehan Duffy, I think, he used to turn into, being honest with you, he used to become one of the best centre halves in world football when he played for Ireland. And I'd never say that he wouldn't be. Same with Darren Randolph in goal. He was world class in terms of international football. So do you think the likes of Collins, I know he's had some poor moments in Ireland, sure, but we all know how good he is. And it's like the likes of him, even Ogbene, do you think that form can kind of go out the window? Obviously, we want them playing well at club level, but do you think you can kind of eliminate that?
yeah, I think it does. Yeah, I think it's different sense of pride when you're playing for your country, and you can put all your woes from your club form away from you if you're showing a bit of love coming into that international camp, and you're trusted, and you're our main man, and you're told that your arms around the shoulder from John O'Shea or Heimer, whoever it is, you're coming into a different environment, obviously professional environment, but you're coming back with lads who, you're kind of one thing that's bringing you together is obviously playing for Ireland and stuff. I think in the past we may have seen players struggle with that, um, who just didn't feel part of it, or basically I've kind of spoken about a number of them on the show in the past few years. Just for me, never really. I think they chose Ireland, given opportunities for Ireland, and they never. And it was just to be on their CV, or for contract negotiations. I'm an international striker or an international player, but they never really felt Irish for me, and didn't put it in and didn't deliver for us. So I'm of that view with that. I think the likes of Collins, they show how much they talk so much about what it means to us. I do also think about the fragile state of mind sometimes. Like I think Roy Keane alludes to that with some of our Irish players. He alluded to it at Wembley, that we had to manage the game better there and be a bit more professional. And you think of, Malumbi getting involved with Kane, and then we had to send it off and things like that.
But that was not. There was nothing wrong with the Malumbi thing. The Malumbi
No,
thing was
no,
fine.
no. But I'm just saying, it's more, But that's my point. I'm going to come on to say is, people say that, Malumbi's a risk and things. I don't really agree with that. He's over passionate. That's the thing. I don't get that.
Well, that's bullshit.
I love seeing.
That is actual
bullshit.
Seeing, people say Malumbi's a risk. He's not a risk. He's never shown anything in an Ireland jersey.
He had one thing in a Scotland game once, didn't he? The little clash, and everyone's judged him on that stupid thing. But he got away with it, and that was it. So I just think we've got to trust the lads. Basically, your point now. Are they? I think they are a happier environment when they come into camp now. The squad's quite settled and things like that. I think they don't. I think it was a key masterstroke for me, Heimer, bringing back John Egan, Seamus Coleman back in. It re-energized the group. And then we've followed on with getting results for that. Like, it's a last push now. We've got a second chance after the horror show in Armenia. It's not 100% right. I do have reservations about some decision making still. And we have been a bit lucky. And I did say, I think Heimer's just lucky. I think we may get there because of that. But, just a question now. I was listening to you there talking about it. Would it not be foolish I know he's not everyone's favourite Ireland player. He gets a lot of flack. He has, I think, let the hype go to his head of how good he has been in the past. He's not as good as he was. But Matt Doherty, with the problems with Seamus's injuries, the right-hand side, even Festi, Ogbene's form, not playing regularly. Also, the left side, though. Would it be foolish of Heimer? I think he kind of threw him under the bus a little bit on some of his results when he played him on the left against Hungary, wasn't it? He never really got back in after it. But we still went over to Armenia and were shocking. Do you think it would be foolish of Heimer not to pick him because of the issues we've got? Because he can play left and he can play right. I'm just playing devil's advocate here with this.
Nothing against, but I just don't think he's not playing at club level. He hasn't had a good game for Ireland, even though he did quite good in 2025. You think of Bulgaria away, he was excellent out there, scored a lovely header. But I just think his time, I think he was going to retire if we didn't qualify anyway. But I just don't see where he fits in. I know you kind of think who's back up to Coleman. I would probably say Alan Brown probably is the right back, or even like Boston the Wild can play so many positions. He can play left, right, centre half, and midfield. So I think that eliminates Doherty in that sense. And in my opinion, he's just a better player at this stage of both their careers. I just don't see him coming back in. As talented as Doherty is, I just don't. I think his time at the top level of football, it's a prime example, is he can't get in that Wolves team at the moment. And they are out of this world bad. He started against Chelsea, gave away a penalty, and got hooked at half time. I think his time is, unfortunately, I think his time is done, and I don't think he provides that cold game. Believes he's better than the other players around him. Whilst Jimmy Dunn he'll accept the fact, well, I'm only a QPR, as much as I'm club captain at QPR, I know what it's like. Because he has spent a lot of years at Burnley in particular, where he was kind of sitting on the bench or not even in the squad, so he knows what it's like to. I know he wants to be playing, but I think he can accept the fact that he has to bide his time really to become a player at that level for Ireland, because he knows there's Premier League players ahead of him, and he knows he's not stupid.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. Obviously, we're going to cover all the build up, obviously, to the 26th of March. The Ireland taking on Czechia in the World Cup playoff semi-final in a way. But the squad will be announced, I think, the 19th of March. It's going to be very interesting. Players who are left out, how they react on social media and all that stuff. But Matt Doherty, it will be interesting to see if he's not in it, how he reacts to that. I think that'll be telling if he'll just go into the background and just go announce retirement, or will he wait until how we get on and then announce something, whatever he's doing. Right, we're going to move on to our midfielders. Here we go. Jason Knight, 90 minutes in a 1-0 loss versus Swansea for Bristol City. Killian Phillips, 90 minutes in a 5-0 loss versus Motherwell for St Mirren. And Will Smallbone, cousin Will, out injured at Millwall still. Jack Taylor, 70 minutes and an assist in a 5-3 loss versus Wrexham for Ipswich Town. Josh Cullen, sadly out injured. Season's over, really. Benazaz, 90 minutes in a 1-1 draw versus Charlton for Southampton. Mark Sykes, 25 minutes in a 1-0 loss versus Swansea for Bristol City. Jason Malumbi, 90 minutes, 2-0 loss versus Coventry for West Brom. Andy Moore, an unused sub at Preston North End. Jamie McGrath, 90 minutes and a wonderful wind-up performance against Celtic, and they 2-1 win. Alan Brown got 6 minutes in a 0-0 draw versus Oxford United. And Boston Lowell King Boston is sadly out injured still at Stoke. Connor Coventry got 5 minutes in a 1-1 draw versus Southampton for Charlton. Joe Hodge got 65 minutes in a 2-0 win versus Estrella. And Jacob Devaney, 45 minutes in that 5-0 loss versus Motherwell on loan at St Mirren. Connor, anyone of note from that one?
Jack Taylor's assist, by the way, was absolutely, I don't know if you've seen it, was superb. That little flick he gave off. Yeah, he's a player that's probably going under the radar. Could be one that could start in March. I think it looks like Malumbi will probably be one of the starters just because how well he's done in recent months for us. It's whether, I think at the moment, it's Taylor, Knight, if Boston Wild can get back and get a couple of games in midfield, but I don't think that's possible, to be honest with you, at this stage. Whether he'll get like minutes as a starter for now in March. But yeah, Jack Taylor, great to see him. He's doing quite well and starting regularly. I know they brought in the likes of Dan Neal in January, so it'll be interesting what his minutes look like in the coming weeks. But yeah, obviously it's big loss having Josh Cullen out. It looks like Will Smallbone will be back in March, but he won't get back in the squad. Jason Knight, I watched that game against against Swansea for Bristol City the other day. I'll get on to Sinclair Armstrong in a minute, but Jason Knight was really good. I thought he was excellent in the middle of the park. I thought Bristol City dominated that game. How they did not win that game and ended up losing 1-0 in the end, we'll never know. They completely, and Jason Knight played a big part, and I thought he was very, very tidy in possession. Broke up play really well, which is good, but he's always like that for Bristol City. He's always top notch. So yeah, on that, other than that, I'm just looking through here. Jimmy McGrath had his lovely getting Austin Trusty sent off, where we had a few people saying that he should be ashamed of himself. Was a politician? I think he's a politician, saying that he should be ashamed of himself because what he done helped his local rivals' Hearts extend their lead at the top of the table. Do one. I'm sure Jimmy McGrath is devastated that he helped his team get 3 points. Clown. Connor Coventry's situation is a real worry, Martin. He's not playing at all over Connor Cody, who is a centre half that's gone into midfield because of Connor Coventry picking up a knock. And like, this isn't a prime Connor Cody when he was playing for Leicester, playing with Wolves in the Premier League, playing with Everton. This is Connor Cody. To be honest with you, he's finished. He's done. Like, he's playing in midfield because he's not good enough to play centre half anymore. It's the reality is because he can't. He's lost all his pace. He's lost everything. I know he's a good football brain and technically he's quite good for centre half, but like, he can't cover ground in midfield. He can't. Like, it's not a good. I know he's done all right for them in there, but it's not that Connor Coventry should be playing over him. Like, it's really bad for Coventry to be on the bench to him. And Joe Hodge actually in recent weeks has really kicked on again. Loads of minutes starting. I think it's 4 games in a row he started now. He hasn't. I think the most he started was 2 games in a row with Tondela. Now he's up to 4. And they won at the weekend. They're outside of the relegation zone now. So it's really good to see him doing well. And we all know how good he is technically. He's an unbelievable player. So good. It's just body at his age has just let him down quite a bit, like a number of young Irish players at the moment. But seems like he's starting to get minutes in the legs. I think more the way I look at this season to him is like a trial season just to show how good he is. I know he hasn't really had the opportunity to do so far this season because he's missed quite a bit of time. But I think as the minutes rack up, we'll see him get better and better. And if he can help keep Tondela up, I think it'll set him up for a good move in the summer, hopefully. And other than that, it seems like the Alan Brown express train has been halted. 6 minutes the other day against Oxford United. And I've said before, people are saying about, will Heimer play midfield? He hasn't been playing midfield. As their manager said when he got player of the month in the championship, he said he's been playing everywhere from. He's played right back, right mid, number 10, right wing. He's played everywhere bar midfield for him at the moment, but shows how good he is in terms of versatility and what he can offer. But like, that takes its toll, because if you have one bad game in those positions, someone can come on off the bench for you. And we've seen it midweek. He struggled against Coventry. Someone came on, took his place after 60 minutes, and then he lost his place at the weekend. He got 6 minutes. Even Alex Gilbert came on before him. Obviously, another Irish midfielder at Middlesbrough, but he came on in midfield before him, and he came on at the last 6 minutes for Morgan Whittaker. So like, he came on for the right hand sided player. So like, I think if he's going to come into the Ireland squad, which I believe he will do, I do think it is as a wing back. I think his best position for Ireland is a right wing back. I don't think he offers enough in midfield in terms of getting on the ball and looking to make things happen. Although he is good on the ball, but he just doesn't try and take on a turn. He's too safe in my opinion and doesn't really want it enough. But I think out wide, I think actually quite suits him. But yeah, the midfielders was a bit sad. Martin, I
No
know if he
worry.
had and then Andy Moore not getting minutes again is depressing. But I know he'll get it. Well, he just has to bide his time really at Preston. And the fact they lost the other day is probably a good thing for him because they were in good form, and now they've lost, it might encourage the manager to give him a chance.
Okay, right. On we go to the attackers. Here we go. Fessi Abasele not in the squad for Istanbul. Evan Ferguson out in. Adamida out injured still at the moment with Swansea City. Casey McAteer got 20 as Wrexham for Ipswich. Troy Parrott, you know what's coming now. 90 minutes and a goal for AZ. Sammy Schmodix, 90 minutes, a 2-0 loss versus Watford for Derby. Sinclair Armstrong, 80 minutes and a 1-0 loss versus Swansea for Bristol City. Mikey Johnson, 29 minutes, 2-0 loss versus Coventry. Rocco Vata out injured at the moment with Watford. And Tom Cannon, an unused sub for Sheffield United. Chidozie Ogbene, as mentioned earlier, not in the squad with Sheffield United. Tyler Goodrum is out injured at the moment with Oxford. Adomo Amaku, 33 minutes and a 0-0 draw versus Borough for Oxford United. Johnny Kenny got 8 minutes in a 2-2 draw versus Blackpool for Bolton. Owen Eldon got 60 minutes in a 2-1 win versus Celtic for Hibs. And Melenik Ali, 90 minutes and an assist in a 3-1 win versus Millwall for Portsmouth. And that is your attackers. Not many goals. Troy delivered. We spoke about Melenik Ali. What else is happening, Connor? What's happening with Sinclair Armstrong? No goals, but 80 minutes. Good performance.
Yeah, he was brilliant. I thought the other day he was absolutely exceptional, Martin. I watched the game. It was a 12:30 kickoff. And he was absolutely, in fairness with you, he was probably better, even better than what he was midweek. He kicked on, he hit the post after the first couple of minutes, which was really from a ridiculous angle. If um, Bergzal had got himself in the box, he could have just squared across, but he didn't get himself to the far post. But yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. He played 80 minutes. He would have played 90 minutes, but he looked quite tired towards the end because he'd put in such a shift. He was picking the ball up at times in the middle of the park. He was kind of sort of thing. It was give me the ball and get out of my way, and he would just pick up the ball and he would just run, and then the players would just bounce off him, and then they'd either have to pull him down or he would set up a good chance. He should have got an assist in the second half. He looked absolutely brilliant. In fairness, he was superb, but everyone knows how good I think he can be and what he is. And like so, a Swansea fan tweeted, Martin, some result that not pretty, but whatever, can't fault it. Sinclair Armstrong has everything to be a top striker, which is what a Swansea fan said. It's usually quite thick. Someone commented then after saying, why the fuck did you lot sub off Sinclair Armstrong? He was the best player by far and dominated the middle, but cheers for taking him off XXX. So yeah, it's a good sign he's doing so well. And another one said they're making him look like Prime R9. So like he was absolutely brilliant again, and it's great to see him playing so well. But as we know, certain people involved in Irish media and stuff don't watch the games, and they think lads who are scoring goals at a crap level who don't to try to push to get into squads and are not near the level of Sinclair Armstrong, and they don't realise the difference in like the championship and certain other leagues. So yeah, but it's good to see Sinclair do so well. Other than that, Sammy Smodix played 90 minutes for Swansea, Derby. I don't know how. I haven't seen him really play so far. I don't expect him to get back in the Ireland squad, to be honest. I just don't think he offers what we need. I know he can play. He's probably an option for the left hand side, but I would rather Millie Ali, to be honest. If I was picked between the two, we spoke about got the assist. Johnny Kenny started midweek for Bolton. He only got 8 minutes the other day, but I don't know if you've seen him kick Paddy O'Connor in the face. I posted it on Ref Tracker.
Oh, yes.
And then Paddy O'Connor lost his tooth. Actually, was it Reading tried to get him banned for the weekend because they're saying he done it on purpose, but I don't think he did. He was apologising straight away. Owen Elding, I thought, was really good against Celtic yesterday. I thought he was very good. Never gave the ball away, which is an impressive thing. Every time the ball came into his feet, very composed. Looked like he more than belonged that level. Looked really, really good. Thought he was exceptional, really bright. Should have really had 2 clear-cut opportunities, but Martin Boyle didn't want to pass him the ball, went greedy and tried to go by himself twice, and it would have been 2 clear opportunities for Elding, which would have been brilliant to score at Celtic Park. And I wonder, would he have been as ashamed as Jimmy McGrath to maybe have scored at Celtic Park and help Hearts in the title race? But yeah, and other than that, Martin, just trying to see, Tom Cannon can't get a sniff at Sheffield United at the moment. When he starts, he's subbed after 45 minutes or an hour. I see Adam Eada's back on grass anyway. I don't know how far he is from training, but like he should be back before March. But he's another player that's probably placed is probably under threat, but I don't think he will be picked. But like he will have to probably hit the ground running when he comes back. But yeah, in terms of forwards, just on probably a few other lads that are doing quite well, I think it's worth mentioning because they're not in it. I've spoke quite a bit this year about Armstrong Okoflex, about how well he is doing in Bulgaria. He was a bot of Plovdiv where we were for the Ireland match. Absolutely tore up the league for the first half of the season. I think he scored 7 goals in like 11 starts or something because he didn't join at the start of the season. And then got the big move to Levski Sofia, who are top of the league with 10 points. Scored again at the weekend. And has now, I think, 9 goals for the season. And they're 10 points clear at the top of the table in the Sofia derby. He's absolutely tearing that league up. And I know it's probably not a good enough league to tear up to get into the Ireland squad, but I think he's at the stage now where even though he'll only join in January, I'm not surprised if clubs in like Belgium, Holland, Germany in the summer would think, oh, well, I think they paid Levski. I think got him his release clause was like €200,000 or something ridiculously cheap in January because they didn't expect him to be that good. And I think like they could at least make 10 times their money on him like straight away in the summer if they wanted to. But they will be in Champions League qualifiers next season, so I would expect to probably stay for maybe another half season anyway after the summer. But yeah, I think he's a player that could really come into the radar in maybe 2027 because he's doing exceptionally well. And the other one I was going to talk about was Connor Noss at MSV Duisburg in Germany. Got a goal and assist the weekend. Got in the Bundesliga 3. I know it's Bundesliga 3. It's not the greatest standard, but Bundesliga 3 team of the week. And they're sitting second in the third tier of Germany at the moment. I think they will definitely get promoted there. I think their crowds they get a game is like it's meant like 25,000 goes every week to watch them play. They're from everything you read, they're a massive club in Germany. Obviously, we wouldn't really know because they're third tier, but they're supposedly a massive club that are putting a lot of money back in to try and get them back off the ranks. And a player like Connor Noss, who went from the top tier in Austria, I think he was will be in Bundesliga 2 next season. And just lastly, someone who actually 2 more. You never congratulated King Didsey on scoring an absolute worldie against Huddersfield the other day, out of this world goal. Unfortunately, they can't keep a clean sheet to save their lives, and they lost that game 2-1. They can't win. I think Conor O'Halloran's probably on his last legs there at the moment. Although I don't think it's for fault, I just think their defence is not good enough. And Jade Nume scored twice for Benfica under 19s in their 4-4 draw with Porto. Yeah, sky's the limit for that. Like I've spoken about how good he is. He's an unbelievable talent. He could be anything he wants really. But it's good to see him get another 2 goals the weekend. And I think Jose Mourinho should really be taking a look at him I'm not saying bring him into first team as a regular, but maybe giving him a debut before the end of the season just to boost his profile. And also Jack Morehouse was on the bench for United tonight, which was good to see.
He got in there before me. I was going to say, you've forgotten Jack Morehouse.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to ask you a question about that. Who was the last Irish player before Jack Morehouse to be on the bench
for the first team
or United? Yeah.
Why does Will Keane count?
That was the real rep trackers, guess.
Because he was English when he played for United.
I don't know. And then would Kieran O'Hara been on the bench ever? Possibly.
Maybe in do you know in the Europa League where you have an extended squad and you have 3 keepers on, maybe he would have got on, but I don't know. Would he have got onto the bench? But he didn't. He wouldn't have played. I don't know did he ever play in pre-season for the first team? But yeah, I think Will Keane obviously is the last one actually played first team minutes.
It's got to be mad. We are going to get onto the comments, but it's got to be more. Robbie Brady is a guest there. John O'Shea. It's got to be more recent than John O'Shea.
Did Darren Gibson leave after Robbie Brady? Didn't he? I think Darren Gibson lasted longer than Robbie Brady.
Didn't he? Yeah. 20.
It would have been Darren. I think if you count, because Will Keane was English when he played for United, but I say it's probably Darren Gibson if it's not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Time coming now.
But I should say Paddy McNair or someone like that because he's from the north, but he's not one of us, is he?
There we go. Right, brilliant, great round up there, Connor. Thank you for that.
Did you bet adding the forwards, anyone?
No, I was just thinking though. For some reason, I've got Wembley November last couple of years ago in my head, and just even just shows you the madness of it, doesn't it? Like Andrew Moran played then, so too did Mark McGuinness, and it's just not kicked
Don't
on for
worry,
you.
Andy Moore is still going to be our best player. Don't worry,
Yeah,
he's still our best technical player. Just give him
here we
time.
go.
Actually, I got a text from Bill Gain who's watching.
Yeah,
Actually, he I didn't see it. I only see it there now. He said, "It's Darren Gibson, you pleb, January 2012." Yes, Brady was summer 2011, so I was right. It was Darren Gibson. Although you can say
mm,
Will Keane technically is the answer, but if you say when they represented Ireland, it was obviously Darren Gibson. So I was correct
yeah.
with both answers.
And I'll ask Bill a question now. I was that the year 2012. Was that when did he got a fantastic goal, didn't he? In the what was it? The Nations. It wasn't Nations
Cup,
League. It was the
Nations
Nations
Cup.
Cup thing against Wales.
Yeah,
3-0 win. I think he got a great goal there, and also he scored an unbelievable goal. Darren Gibson. Was it last day of the season against Hull? I'm going to guess for Man United. It was the final day of the season. I think he got it against Hull. But yeah, he was a brilliant player. Like
what a waste of talent.
yeah, amazing player though. Really, what he should have been. But you often, and I don't know this. Well, maybe we have to talk off camera. This you often see him at Old Trafford though, don't you? Like I know he knocks around with Rooney and Carrick and all that kind
Yeah,
of
he's
lot,
kind of
doesn't he?
one of them boys. Yeah,
Yeah.
gets on very well
Um,
with them.
yeah. So I wondered. Like, hopefully he has kind of sorted out a lot of the problems
I
he
think he
had.
has. I think he done. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he has done a few interviews. It's good to see he's not
Yeah.
in a bad place, right?
Yeah. Okay. Right. We're going to come on to your comments. But again, thank you for watching this evening. Make sure if you are watching along that you give the show a like. How many have we got, Connor? Not many at all. It's not good enough, is it?
No,
Um,
let me click on right
you get,
now.
if we get 50 likes, Connor's going to give his ticket in Czechia away to a. Well, I say
I
to you
thought
there,
you were
Connor.
gonna-
Sorry, I
I don't
got
know what
interrupted.
you want to
Connor.
say. I
Sorry.
didn't know what you were going to say there, but anyway, we're only on 10 likes, so like
Yeah.
just at least double that. Like there's 37 people watching on YouTube just alone. Obviously, there's a lot more in other apps, but if you're on YouTube, just click the thumbs up button. It helps a lot.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, right, we're gonna get through your comments. So just remember the context of this is that we've been obviously chatting for about an hour. We've gone through Obig. We've had a chat about Evan scoring form, not Evan scoring form. Jesus, Troy's scoring form. I wish it was about Evan. We spoke about Manelli Ali. We spoke about Erin Cashin. We spoke about Chidozie Ogbene, but we will also be getting through your comments now. So just we'll clarify some of that. Right. Cormac Momo says James Wilson was on the bench yesterday for Tottenham. Obviously, they lost to Arsenal with 4-1 in the derby. Do you think that's a good or a bad sign for Mason Melia?
No,
Probably early
because
though.
Wilson. The thing is, Melia signed as the first team player. Wilson was signed as a under 21 striker. Obviously, Melia Wilson has the benefit that he's coming straight from the Scottish season. Although he wasn't playing for Hearts, he was still fit and playing regularly. Melia obviously had the League of Ireland break, which wasn't helped with the fact he picked up that back knock again. So yeah, it'll just take Melia a few weeks to get going. It'll probably be the international break probably before we see him like on the bench or anything. Because I had it in very good accord. He was meant to be back training last week after he got the scan to get the all go ahead, and then now it's been changed that he'll be back training this week. So I don't know whether they didn't decide it will move it back a week. So they're just being very cautious with him at the moment. But yeah, I think just give him I would say give him probably to international break to let him get minutes back in the legs in terms of training. He'll probably play a couple under 21s games and then he'll go away with Ireland 21s. And then I think as long as Spurs aren't in a relegation battle, well, they might have to force and throw him in because they literally have no options. But yeah, I think between now and the end of the season is kind of just getting himself right. And I don't think Spurs, I don't think in the next as bad as Spurs are, I think they will get out. They won't be in a relegation battle for after the next 3 or 4 weeks, I hope, because just for Amelia's sake as alone, he'll start getting minutes, and then the Champions League, of course, as well. So yeah,
They
give him
won't
time.
go down, but it won't be. It won't. It will be late in it that they stay up. Was my
Well, they're
prediction.
4 points ahead of West Ham. Like, and the thing is, if say West Ham and Power, but the thing is, Martin, we all know is like if say Spurs win this weekend, Forest and West Ham both lose, they're like, oh well, there's 7 points in it. 7 points, they'll never catch them. 7 points, not in the that's the sort of thing people are like.
Mm. But they're poor though.
Oh, they're
Right.
terrible.
Jake Adams, could you see Heimer changing formation for Czechia, or will he stick to the current formation? Any idea how the new Czechia manager likes to set up?
No one know really. I don't think he'll try anything different. I think he'll go to the same, the
Mm.
4-4-2 out of possession, 3-4-2-1 in possession, because it's worked. It's got us to where we are. And no, I'm not sure how Czech as new manager plays. To be honest with you, because I haven't really researched into what he's like at club level in Czech Republic yet. Anyway, but we will obviously look into it before we play them. But at the moment, I haven't really looked into them. I'm guessing they won't change too much in terms of system to what they're playing. I think they play a 4-2-3-1 with their current squad. So I don't think they'll play much different. I think it's just they'll hope their performance is better.
Yeah, I mean he was a bit vocal, wasn't he? Just about kind of scathing about Ireland as well. Just that we're
It's an island ball, like we are the
yeah,
most like we are so predictable, but it's just
yeah,
hard. It's a bit like Northern Ireland; they're very predictable, but it's just very hard to stop.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, we will obviously have it covered in all of our pre-match build-up. Well, no, build-up to the window, obviously. So, yeah, make sure another reason to subscribe and follow the show. Right. Nick says, watch the Strasbourg Lyon game. Omar Bamadeli was very solid. Should be in the squad at least if he's fit. The Czech lad Sulch, is it? He went off injured. Yeah, I've seen that. But he's. I don't know if it's been confirmed he's ruled out, but
Yeah,
it'd be a big loss to them apparently if he
yeah,
is.
he's a creative spark, but yeah, he's what it looked like. I just put a tweet out last night. I wouldn't wish any injury about anyone, but I hope he's out for 6 weeks.
Okay. I don't know what this is in relation to. I can't imagine any player changing their allegiance. I don't think
Maybe
we.
with player coming into the squad.
Okay.
Thanks. But
Not allegiance wise though. It's just more anyone who's eligible. We said. Deck Mac 1999 says would have Brady around the camp for March brings bags of experience. Yep, agree with that. Just something in relation to the League of Ireland, which we do fantastically cover on a Friday evening with our live show after the
and
game.
midweek.
And midweek, yeah, and midweek, yeah. But we do have a live show on the Friday where you can call in and chat to the lads. After Dundalk versus Drogs game, there has been a lot of talk about flares, especially now that the Minister for Sport is
Ridiculous.
involved. The damage was awful, but I think it's an overreaction from him or not.
Crazy. Myself and Dave will obviously go into more detail about it on Wednesday when the show comes out on League of Ireland, but it's ridiculous. Like he said you burned, he said something about like house reference, like something because they put that damage to the house, everyone else's house will be negatively affected by it. Like, just shut up, man. Like, he's clearly just went to Oriel Park the other night to get his little picture taken, to look all great. Oh, I went to League of Ireland. Look who I support, so people will vote for me, etc. Like, I'm not being, because I don't even know what allegiance political party he's with, because I'm not that interested. But like, just shut up, man. Like, go away. If this is the level of interest you have in football, I think it just shows its true colours. Like, yes, idiots threw flares on the pitch the other day, but you don't take that out in the rest of the league. And the reality is, you ban those idiots. You fine Drogheda. If it makes sense, you take points off Drogheda. If that's what you have to do to show how anti you are this happening. We've seen a young fan his face got burned the other day by it. I think that shows enough rather than trying to take money away from clubs around Ireland, not just League of Ireland clubs, grassroots clubs. Like, I know Astros, we don't really like Astros, but they are vital in countries like Ireland where the weather isn't good. So I know a lot of leagues or summer leagues and etc. now, but like, if you're playing in the winter, you're playing five-a-side, you're playing anywhere, like countries, the Scandinavian countries, if they didn't have Astros, they couldn't play football. So like, he's just shut up, minister, whatever your name is. I can't even remember your name because you've pissed me off because of your bullshit comments. Because it's like he was waiting for an excuse for something like this to happen, so he could.
He could
The
have his
same
like
happens in
soundbite, yeah.
GA pitches. It happens on rugby. How often you see someone from a GA background that you see fat parents fighting on the sideline, or parents run onto a referee on the sideline? You don't take funding off GA clubs because of one lunatic parent on the sideline. So it's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah. Okay. Goalaga enthusiast says, "Do you reckon Ferguson will go for the surgery and miss March, or play March and risk making the injury worse or permanent?" Well, I'll answer this one. I think he's got to just look after himself, try and manage this, be available for March, manage it again for the World Cup, forget his club career for the time being, focused on Ireland.
yeah, I think you have to risk it. This it sounds bad because his health should be number one, but
Mm.
there's only so many times in the Irish player's career where they get an opportunity like this to go to a World Cup, and you never know. And sometimes you have to take risks, and I do think he will take the risk. I think he just thinks I have to be there, I have to be ready, and that's what I think he's going to do. I do think the surgery is it literally be a thing. It's like they're telling him you literally cannot play, you physically cannot play
Yeah.
on benefit Ireland. Like he in November, we were obviously Hamer was hoping he'd be back for the second game against Hungary, and he told him I couldn't offer you anything. Like so, unless it's that sort of case, and he thinks, oh, I get surgery. Unless he thinks if I got surgery in the next week, I could be back by the start of May. If I'm back by the start of May and we qualify, but I think he's so keen on getting involved in March, being there in March and help us get us to World Cup because as much as people love Troy Parrott and as good as Troy Parrott is, we are a lot stronger if we have Evan Ferguson in the squad as well, no matter what anyone thinks. Because if you have Evan Ferguson coming on off the bench, that is not a bad option.
No, agree with you completely. CFM, I'll maybe clarify a little bit. Can't imagine any players changing their allegiance to Ireland coming in the next few months. From previous situations, it seems to be quite a long process changing. McAteer and Smollett's come to mind. Yeah. I don't think that will be happening.
It's not that difficult at all. It's just the thing of getting your passport and stuff. It's not just I don't know why the McAteer thing took. I don't know why that took a while. Sometimes with some. Oh, sorry, I'm said sometimes a lot there, but sometimes what happens with players is sometimes with and probably Martin with your parents' era when they came over to England and stuff, a lot of people came over with missing documents and passports missing, and it can take quite a while to find passports and stuff. I know it was Jack Morehouse. I think that took a while. Why he took so long to get his passport? So it can just happen with some like they go undocumented or people weren't registered at birth or some mad things happen like when people used to move over back in the day. So unless sort of situation but if it's like a common situation now where someone's moved over there and their parents, if they have not, unless they've not played, if they've played for the likes of England or someone, it can take a bit longer to get the international transfer through. But like they can't stop you if you want to make the transfer across. So, no. And the Smodics thing, like it was just that he wasn't waiting for ages. He just wasn't being picked. I think McAteer, I don't know why he took so long, but I'm guessing it was probably the reason that I stated there. But if there's any other lads that can still change to Ireland, I'm guessing it would be quite a straightforward process, to be honest.
Okay. Come on, also says, congrats on the win, Connor. Dreadful from Everton once again. That's in relation to tonight. And all the best with the rebrand at Rep Tracker. Do Czechia have a new manager, Jake? Oh, that's a question for someone who well, we did say we didn't say his name, but Kubek, is it? I think is their manager.
I don't know.
Let me just
he's a
quickly.
lunatic. But anyway,
Miroslav Kubek, recently appointed, took on the job in just before the end of the last year.
Yeah. Kimon must know you're a United fan as well, Martin. I congratulate you. Say congratulations to Martin. No, but yeah. What was the other thing he said about the rebrand? I appreciate that, even though it's not really a rebrand, it just kind of changed the profile picture. But yeah,
it's lovely. You should get someone to do your graphics. Pal Island. Any news on Ferguson or Boston yet, lads? What are the odds they play?
Whether they play, I don't know, but I think both will be fit. Boston. My sources tell me it is 4 weeks that he would have been out from when he got injured, not 6 weeks. So that would give him 2 weeks to get ready for the squad. So he would be back for the week. The squad's been named on the 19th. So he'd be back for the weekend. What is it? The 11th to 12th. Those games are being played. No, not the 11th to 12th. It's the 14th, 13th. I believe. Paddy's Day is the Tuesday, 17th, 16th. 15th, 14th, whatever it is. So 13th, 14th, 15th weekend where he'd be back that weekend, according to my sources, if all goes to plan, obviously. But I do think if he is fit, I think he will definitely be picked because everyone knows how good he is. Well, not everyone. Certain people like to question me on that, but they're just people who've never watched him play. Or they're Celtic fans who hate him because he didn't make it at Celtic.
Yeah, interesting. I think because when he's... Oh, yeah. I was looking at something there. FA Cup weekend, isn't it? 6th and 5th of March and things like that. So there will be some kind of football taking place. Hopefully he can be part of it, I'm sure. But yeah, just looking at that Mansfield and all that kind of stuff around that 7th and 8th weekend. So we'll see how we get on with that, but we'll obviously cover it here and announce on a Rep Tracker how we are getting on with injuries. Aaron Gubbins, hi Aaron, how are you getting on? Well, lads, great to listen to you as always. Would love if Troy went to Dortmund or Leverkusen. Hope that Parrott stays in Europe. Good move for Barry Cotter.
Good move from us, rightly. Yeah, good move to Derry. Good signing for Derry as well. So yeah, but no, probably the worst kept secret in Irish football at the moment. But yeah, good move for him.
Okay. Martin Fitzpatrick, again, a regular supporter of the show. How you getting on, Martin? Parrott is the most consistent performer since the Hungary match. Very worried for the rest of the team, though. Injuries and loss of form is a worry, lads. Yeah, I kind of would share it a little bit. Just, some of these wingers aren't playing enough, and they're going to be hopefully providing ammunition to Troy. And hopefully, and I actually do. I'm going to make a little bit of a broad prediction. This Adamida, we do need him getting back fit. We need him to push to be getting this. I think there's just something about Adamida. I think he's going to do something. He has scored some important goals for us as well. Confident lad as well. I'd like to see him get back and be fit and really push in that as well for that for the March game. Aaron Gubbins, La Liga would be a nice move if you follow it. That's again for Troy Parrott. Kim on also, I'd like to see Parrott go to Everton because Barry can't hack it up front. I'm adding that bit, but I reckon a move to Germany would suit him better. Stuttgart would be grand. Betis in Spain wouldn't be bad either. Yeah, and he also says AC Milan want the striker, so maybe they would be a good fit for him.
Please not Italy. It's not even a thing of developing players. It's just depressing to watch that league. It's just boring.
Agent Seamus could be on the move there. Getting him a little look at that. Just having a look here. 14th of March, Stoke play at home to Watford. So he's got to be aiming for that one, hasn't he, Connor? I suppose, Boston.
Did they play midweek that week, did they?
Sorry?
Did they play midweek?
No, I don't think they do. Not sure. I wasn't going back as far on that one. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. There is football on Wednesday. Yeah, they are. They're at home to Ipswich on the 10th.
So if he can even get on the bench for that one and then get more, if he got two 30-minute cameos or 20-minute cameos off those two games off the bench, that's enough for me to pick him, to be honest. Even though it's enough for me to pick him if he's on one leg, to be honest, because I know how good he is. But yeah, I would definitely pick him.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully, yeah.
Would you be in the same boat as me, Martin? Would you pick him no matter if as long as he's fit? Yeah.
Pick him. Yeah. Yep. Without doubt. We are royalists.
Are we?
He is the king.
The royalist sounds a bit too much like someone who's a loyalist.
We are loyalists,
especially in your accent.
Yeah. Don't clip that. Right. Chatting about the goalkeeper situation, as Connor said earlier, lots of votes for Josh Keeley, Super Josh Keeley. So, yeah. Says Aaron, and Kimon says that as well. Nick also says a Bankwell is looking decent at the moment. He's in really good form. Yeah. Deck Mac also says Josh Keeley for me, Connor. He should have had a cap already last June.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, but I do think Baxter did, in a sense, he did deserve his debut. Yeah. He has been a long time waiting.
Okay. Nick B8008 says Teo Adaramola.
Adaramola.
Yeah. That's it. Is looking like one of, I just did that for Dave. I can obviously say it. Adaramola is looking like one of Sheffield Wednesday's best players at the moment, although they are relegated. Yeah. Kimon says Collins has never really been good for Ireland, and the fact his Brentford stuff is dipping is worrying. And Kimon also says, maybe I'm being biased here, but watching O'Brien versus the likes of Villa away this year, you would think he is our best centre back.
No, definitely not in my opinion. Nothing against him. I just don't think he's better than Collins. I don't think he's better than Omobamidele either, in my opinion. But that's the beauty of football, and it shows the options we've got. We haven't had this sort of options with Premier League players in a long time, have we?
No, we haven't. And Aaron Gubbins says, do you think Evans' time at Rome was up? I was going to ask you, Connor, how did they get on last night? Because I was trying to follow that.
They won 3-1 against Cremonese. Okay. That's Jimmy Vardy's crowd, isn't it? Yeah, they won.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they are doing quite well at the moment, to be honest. I know they were doing badly when Malin first came in because they were all celebrating them after the first game, and then they went through a bad one, but they're back winning again.
Okay. Kimon also says and reminds us that Doherty said he would retire from international football if we don't qualify. Yep, did say that, but I think it'll be when he does it and how he does it. Is he going to be like a little bit like a James McLean? There'll be a little bit of a dig within the announcement if he is just snubbed and not picked in that March squad. Aaron also says, well, we'll be getting an opposition take on us like some Czechia journalist or fan? You've been
planning. I haven't lined someone up yet, but it is the plan, Aaron.
Yeah. Okay. And Nick B says that midfield is worrying. Miss you, Josh. Okay. Yeah. That's Josh Cullen, who Dave does not rate. Our midfield, says Alex, and wing options would make you depressed. There's serious opportunities for a young player like Vata, sadly out injured, Trent or Ume to take a starting spot for the Nations League. What do you think? Also says in the midfield, I'll be more hesitant about lads breaking through though, simply because I don't see who can outside of Lowell. I mean, the Nations League is going to be interesting. More importantly, obviously, post World Cup, hopefully, the fallout from that, of course. But again, the Nations League is going to be a bit experimental. I think you are rebuilding a squad then, and it's an opportunity for some of these young lads, isn't it, Connor? And they were impressive. Some of them in that under 17s. So
very young, like
that's very young, yeah. And I think we've got to just be patient. We've got this under 21 crop coming through now as well. Who are doing
a lot
well.
of good, like so many young good players. Like a lot of them will be playing 19s in March and then 21s in March as well. I think the likes of Ume would be fast tracked into 21s. I think Rocco Vada, we would have seen a lot more of him in a senior jersey at this stage if he just hadn't picking up injuries. Been really unlucky. I think he's a sort of combination seek to be a key player just because he's just really, really good, and he's shown at men's football that if he's given the time and not injuries, he's really good at that level. Obviously, we haven't seen it yet with Trent. We haven't seen it yet with Jayden Nume, although we did see it with Jayden as a 15-year-old in Cork's first team, but obviously not at the level that he's at now. But yeah, I would just be patient, likes of themselves. And obviously, Ike Razi is another player I think really, really highly of, but he's obviously out injured at the moment. But there's loads like Owen Elding as well, like someone like that who's absolutely exceptional. He could easily come into the senior picture very quickly. So yeah, I think we've loads of options in, and obviously the midfield, we still have plenty of options. It's just a harder position to kind of stand out as such. Like even like the likes of Romeo Akinchukwu, I think's a magnificent footballer. He's had to go on loan to Colchester on loan, and he's doing exceptionally well so far. But he's kind of had to show he's too good to that. He had to go to that level to show he's too good for that level that he's at League Two now. So I think it just takes time, particularly with midfielders as well. It's a very hard position to go and establish yourself in. But yeah, I'm like even like Jimmy Mullins is a magnificent player, and it will eventually all click for Andy Moore as well. So I wouldn't be as negative about it.
Okay. And also just chatting about Spurs. Dickie Davis says Spurs are down 3 in the back in the Premier League. Look at Man United. Should have gone for Harry. Is their view? And then Aaron says 3-0 it was, and I think that is in that relation
How are
to
you? Redknapp or Maguire? I'm confused. Should have gone for who? Who's like
Harry, meaning going for Harry Redknapp as a manager.
As like the manager.
I'm taking that 3 in the back doesn't work in the Prem. Aaron also says, do you see Mourinho giving Jayden Ume a chance soon, Connor? Last
I don't think he'll make him like a proper first teamer before the end of the season. Wouldn't be surprised if we gave him his debut. But no, I don't really see it before the end of the season. I think pre-season maybe we might see him get a chance. So I think he definitely, because I think he's the best winger in their academy. Every time I watch him, he looks the best player on the pitch for Benfica, which is exciting. I know he's give that lad Cabral a chance and scored a couple of goals for him, but even though every time you watch him, he looks absolutely useless, to be honest. But I know he's a striker, and strikers are harder to come by than a left-sided winger. But yeah, I think it's only a matter of time for Jayden before we see him, because he's already ready for men's football. It's just about getting that opportunity. And he is playing this week, Wednesday. The UEFA Youth League returns to AZ Alkmaar in the quarter final. Some of you quarter-final or last 16. I don't know what way it works again, but like that'll be a big game and another big opportunity. He scored the winner in the last round, and then they have another big test, obviously AZ this week. So it'll be interesting now. I think they have a lot of talent in that Benfica team. They could go all the way. So hopefully we'll see Jayden shine in that.
Okay, brilliant as usual, Connor. Thank you again for your input this evening, and thanks for all your comments and watching along this evening. We've really enjoyed reading them all out, and hopefully you found it really, really informative. Connor, you need to get a big follow from all of our Raw faithful on your social media platform, which you have rebranded. Well done to Paul for a lovely design there. And anything else, Connor, before we go?
No, if you're one of the 1,000 people here and you're looking to sponsor someone to sponsor over their window, we are looking for more sponsors to come on board over the international window. So no matter who you are, what your business is, if you want to reach out to us about anything or even publicity just for one episode, make sure you give us a message, because we speak to anyone, unless you're Dave. Dave thinks he's too big time to speak to people these days, as we see. He doesn't come on the shows anymore. But anyway, yeah, It's always good to be on a Monday night.
Yeah, no, great fun again as usual, and thank you to the Raw faithful for watching along. Of course, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Let your friends, if they're into Irish football as well and the League of Ireland, make sure that you also let them know about Lansdowne Raw, the most interactive Irish football podcast out there. We're going to be covering lots and lots of the window coming up, the international window. Looking forward to that. We're obviously off to Prague. Can't wait for that trip, of course, but we'll have all the build up to that. Really exciting time for Irish football. We want to be at the forefront of it. So, yeah, as Connor said, if any of you want to help support the show, you can do so. Reach out to us. Happy to help promote your businesses or have a chat with you on things that you're actually working on as well. But, yeah, really, really good to see so many of you supporting our pod and show on a regular basis, especially on a Monday night. So, yeah, thank you as usual. We're over and out from Lansdowne Raw, and we'll catch you on the next one.